So I got a call with Hormozi, so I could just like talk to him about whatever I wanted. The number one thing he asked me was like, hey, how much do you spend on content? And I was like, 1K a month. And then he's like, okay, I spend like 500x that. And he was talking about somebody else who's really big now. And the person was bragging like, dude, I got my content so optimized down that like it's taken me like 2 hours a week to get like 90 days of content. And he was just like, yeah, bro, it shows. I do 1000x your views. And the guy just was like, I asked him about this, and what he said, buying and trying to grow small companies is retarded. The companies that are worth buying, you need to
That's true.
So even with all of his content and all the things and the events and all this stuff, I'm sure some come from that, but he's like, my best deals literally just come from my
Oh, really?
Yeah. The thing that really surprised me was, let me tell you, because I've been saving it for here, about the Hormozi thing.
Yes.
So 225 grand, went to Hormozi's office. So I got a call with Hormozi, so I could just like talk to him about whatever I wanted. And then it was an event with other 10 people who spent 225 grand. So number one, if you have any questions, let me know. I'll just roll through a few things. But first of all, the dude's gym is unbelievable.
It's at his office?
In the basement.
Okay.
It's the best. I mean, it's not like aesthetic or something,
Sure.
right? In terms of the equipment, it was so good that when I got back, I was like kind of depressed. I didn't work out for 3 days. I'm not even kidding. Because, so first of all, the machines are pneumatic. So they're based on air pressure. So like imagine you're doing like a chest press machine. So it's like constant pressure at every part of the range of motion. And like, it's like there's a button on each side. So as you're going, you can just decrease the pressure. And so like you get to your last rep and you're stuck. You decrease the pressure.
Oh,
you do
wow.
another rep.
Wow.
Decrease the pressure. Because, you know, it's like, with the drop set, you gotta like
change it,
you know, and then you kind of feel like a bro at a gym, like drop setting. You know, it's just like who does that, right? It's like I'm not doing that. You know, like it's the set quality was insane. Every single machine he had was literally the best machine I've ever used. Like he had this good morning machine to where at the top when you're contracting in a good morning, it's like you feel it in like your upper back, your glutes, your lower back, your hamstring. I mean, it was like an all posterior chain, just complete. It was insane. Then he also had these cables that were based on magnetic resistance. I don't know how this worked. But you would do one rep and it would basically measure your strength curve. So for instance, in like a row, you're much stronger here, and I think you're weaker here. Or maybe it's the opposite, I forget. But whatever. Like, obviously when you pull, you're not strong all the way through.
Yeah.
So this would measure your strength curve so that it would like lower the weight and increase the weight when you were stronger versus weaker.
Wow.
And so then, like I did a row, like my last rep looked like this. It was like just the slowest 1 rep max. Imagine doing a 1 rep max on a 1-arm cable row.
Yeah, that's insane.
It was insane. So that actually was badass. But I had to write down my
Did he say how much he spent on the gym?
Oh, I don't know. I'm sure it was a lot. But like there was a guy there who's a vlogger, like a really big gym vlogger. And the next morning I worked out there again. And he like came up to the team and he was like, do you guys realize this is maybe the nicest gym of all time?
Really?
Like, you guys know how good you have it.
I think that's, or we won't have to go down that rabbit hole, but I think that's one of the best investments you could probably make once you get some serious money is like building a $2 million personal gym.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think like, I like going to Hive and,
going to a
working out and
place,
stuff.
yeah.
But I will say, here's where the ROI is the team's always in the gym at 5 a.m.
Exactly.
And so like I met not all of the sales guys, but I met like some sales guys and some people who do this and do that, and they're like bonding in the gym.
Yeah.
And it just creates like a good
culture.
environment
Yeah,
where
like
you want to
that.
show up and work out in the morning.
Yeah.
So that was really, really cool. So aside from that, you'll find this interesting because, you know, we both thought about the private equity stuff. So I asked him about this, and this is something I've always thought is like, okay, if you want to go buy a company doing $1 million, $3 million, $5 million, $1 million EBITDA or 500K EBITDA and get 2 or 3 of those, essentially you're creating yourself like a job. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. That's like what Cody Sanchez teaches. Nothing wrong with that, but if you're in our position, that's like kind of a step backwards, not a step forwards.
Yes.
And so the thing I was asking him about, I'm like, how do you think about these acquisitions? Because I was like, it seems like to me, if you're below a company doing 10 million a year, probably even 20 million a year, it's like, you could probably, unless they have a unique strategic advantage or a moat in place, you could probably just build that company yourself. Right? So then like the only companies worth buying are probably companies doing 30 to 100 million a year, a lot of EBITDA, great profit margins, amazing team, which means you got to pay a shitload.
Yeah, because they don't need to sell.
Right? And what he said is he's like, basically 100% agree. He's like, buying and trying to grow small companies is retarded because the reason they're small is because the people just aren't that good. The companies that are worth buying, you need a fuckload of money. So you need like, you're gonna have to probably take out a big loan, raise a bunch of money. You got to buy. The other thing is unless it's an extraordinary founder, which is very rare, he's like in my position. If you, and you've worked with people before, if you don't have full control, it ends up being a problem. Right. And so the thing is either you got to get full control and then put in a great CEO, or it's like you got to somehow come across this extraordinary founder who wants to give you a part of his company.
Yeah.
But if he's truly extraordinary, he probably doesn't even need to do that.
Yes.
Really quick, if you're looking to land a lucrative high-ticket closing roles, so something that's 6 or multiple 6 figures a year, completely remote, and with an offer owner that has good lead flow, good comp structure, as an actual offer that gets their clients results, and the offer owners are cool, but you kind of feel like that you don't have the track record or the experience or even the connections to break into the industry and land an offer that's actually good, one that's worth their salt, I want to invite you to take a free quiz that I essentially created that will assess where you're currently at in high ticket sales, whether you're a complete beginner or you're very advanced or somewhere in between. And then after the quiz, it's going to give you a customized game plan of how to up level your high ticket sales career, whether that's just breaking in or taking your current position and really leveling it up to the next position. So the quiz is completely free. It takes 60 seconds. The game plan video is also completely free. So check that out. Just click the link in the description. And now back to the video.
And so what was funny is he said the majority of his deal flow really comes from, even with all of his content and all the things and the events and all this stuff. I'm sure some come from that, but he's like, my best deals literally just come from my personal network.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it's kind of crazy, like.
But an argument can be made, and I don't know, but was his personal network also bolstered from the content?
Well,
though?
of course. Yeah. So it's all an ecosystem.
Yeah.
Like he is who he is because of that. But the point, and the other thing he told me is he's like, the consulting for equity thing is just like bullshit.
Really?
He's like, it's a complete waste of time.
Really?
He's like, I've seen a million people try. He's like, I've done it. It's a waste of time. Don't fucking do it. You know, either like you got to go big and acquire. I mean, if you look at the private equity people who like really destroy.
Yeah,
they're
just
acquiring
spend money.
big companies, right? Or, so it's like either you got to start and grow a big company and a big brand, and you could do that through roll-ups. That's a whole different thing if you're doing kind of the Brad Jacobs playbook. Or it's like you got to just buy like a legit company. Or for him, like in the school deal, he's not going to have a majority position. Most likely, I don't think he does. But he can add massive value add to something that's infinitely scalable with also an insane founder.
Yeah.
Sam Ovens. That was the big thing I got from that.
So he was saying that, because I even remember, and it's almost like they took the video down or something, but he walked through, it was this podcast. I remember I was at the gym when I was listening to it. This is years ago, 4 years ago. And they were saying it was like their first year, and they were actually walking through the statistics of what this is the first year or 2 years after they launched acquisition.com. And they were walking through the stats of what the average results were, blah, blah, blah. And I remember hearing then that they were just like, yeah, we're no longer taking minority stakes.
Yeah.
We're no longer doing anybody less than like 5 million a year or something like that.
Right.
And that's when it started making more sense to me. And yeah, it's funny because I think you and I both knew that, but then it also took us doing it.
Yeah,
as is usually the case.
You got to do it and then be like, okay, this is stupid.
This is the dumbest
It's kind of
thing
similar
ever.
too. It's like I think from what the conversation I had is that pretty much all the companies crush, but like if you're him with everything he has going on now, if he takes you from 5 to 25, you're probably elated and you're like, dude, I've made it.
Yeah, for him, it's absolutely nothing.
And for him, he's like, great.
It's a waste of time.
Yeah, this was just a liability.
Yeah.
You know, so I would imagine probably what he's looking into is like buying something that's doing, you know, his level, probably like 100 to 150 million. You know, and the thing is, those companies also have a lot of opportunity because there's a lot of inefficiency. And also, it's like anything, the bigger the vision, the easier it is to recruit. So then it's like his brand combined with a massive company like that with maybe $1 billion potential, he can recruit a CEO in there that actually is a savage, and then they could run the playbooks, but he has the majority control.
And was he saying that he was going to keep it as like a family office, his own money kind of thing when he gets in those numbers, or is he going to try to start raising?
I don't think he needs to raise.
I mean, you buy 100 million.
Well, he just did a 100 million launch.
Well, that's true.
So,
He's got 100 million laying around. We know that.
I don't know for sure. I think if he raises, it would be more to have the track record of raising.
Yeah.
And being able, because maybe I don't know, this is not anything he told me FYI, but like, I would imagine for him, if he raises, it's more to, let's say he wants to raise 10 years down the road, he can point to, I raised here, raised here, look at their returns.
Yeah.
So if he's trying to raise for a, $500 million acquisition, that's where it makes sense.
I mean, he doesn't need the money at this point. So yeah, I think it would just be like, so he can start having bigger and bigger
So
wins.
next thing, the main reason I went was ask about media and content and all that stuff. Obviously, this is probably not news to you or anybody, but like the number one thing he asked me was like, okay, how much do you spend on content? And I was like, 1K a month. 1K a month. And then he's like, okay, I spend like 500x that. And, you know, it should be a third of your spend, whatever. But I kind of knew going in, okay, I probably
A
need
third of your overall
marketing spend.
Marketing spend.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And so anyways, I knew I probably needed to increase the budget on that. But that wasn't the thing that really surprised me was he was like, well, how much time do you spend on it? Or I was like, I don't know, 2 hours a week. And he's like, dude, I spend 25 hours a week on content. And like, you think about that. So he's way richer and more successful and way busier and has way more opportunities than us. And can probably try it less hard on content now and it's still just rip 25 hours a week.
Yeah.
That was the big shift for me.
Yeah.
I was like, okay.
You kind of
makes sense.
Yeah.
And it's all in pre, you know? I mean, obviously filming is filming, but it's just all in the pre-work. And so then I'll tell you who this was after, because it's not that big of a deal, but he was talking about somebody else who's really big now. And they were having dinner. And the person was bragging like, dude, I got my content so optimized down that like it's taken me like 2 hours a week to get like 90 days of content and my 4 YouTube videos a week. And he's just like, yeah, bro, it shows. It's like, was that supposed to be a brag? Because like I do 1,000x your views.
Hormozi is 1,000x this guy's
Yeah,
views.
yeah. And the guy just was like, but it'll blow your mind who that actually was. You'll be like, damn, that's actually good. So a lot of the stuff we talked about that was really good. And let me just say this before is like, dude, go into their office and I mean, this is just, and I'm not somebody who normally would probably say this, but like going to their office, seeing the quality of their team, the quality of their media production, you know, the gym, and just like also just hearing their vision of the company and stuff, I'm like, it was inspiring. Like it was like, damn, like this is like fucking insane. Like you can just, it's obvious why they're doing so well. So that was one thing. But
So is that an argument towards an in-person office?
no,
Is that what you're
so
saying?
I think he said this publicly, but I asked him about this. And his recommendation was get going on the content, build that up. Once it makes sense, because I told him about the event idea, doing 2 events a month, one for RCA, one for SDA. He's like, that definitely do that. He's like, that's good. And he's like, once it makes sense, because that's obviously going to cost money doing it other places, the first step of your office really should be Media HQ, to where you have your key media people and maybe some key executives in the office. And then like build space for people to relocate. You work there. Build space for people to come, but don't make it mandatory because it constrains recruiting too much. And so he was a proponent of hybrid.
Yeah.
And then essentially kind of, and I think it makes sense. It's like, if I'm spending, let's say, 15K a month hosting these events, eventually once it gets rolling and I got the media team here, I'm like, okay, let's just get a lease somewhere. I get the lease. Okay, we build out the podcast studio. We build out the YouTube studio. We build out whatever we need.
It almost makes sense probably for you right now. If you think about the amount of content that you're about to start doing.
But the thing is, so me and Nolan looked into it. The thing is it's not the lease, it's the build out. So we didn't want to distract ourselves with 3 months and probably 150K of build out.
That's fair.
When we're not even like, when prior to working with Nolan and prior to working with the media people we hired on our team just in the last 30 days, like after that, I was like, yeah, my effort level is like 1 out of 10 on this. Yeah. So I'm like, let me like get to a 10 out of 10 effort level and start to see some ROI from this, and also like get in a rhythm with producing the most important thing, which is the content, and doing the events. And then it also informed me on what type of office we need.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Because
Yeah.
I might not even know I don't know, you know, I might get an office for 60 people events. I might promote one of these and get 100 people. Like who knows what's going to happen? So I think it would make sense to do it that way.
I remember, to give him credit, Ryan Pineda, we both know him. I was on his podcast, and I remember when I went to his office, that was one of the first times where I was like, man, first of all, he puts out an insane amount of content.
Yeah.
And second of all, he does events, probably more, maybe other than Pace Morby, more than almost anybody I know, either live in-person events, or he does hybrid events. And that's when, so he's a cool office setup where, exactly like you said, media team is there, studio is there, and then he also has a stage with, I don't know, don't quote me, but like 100 seats. And so what he'll do is he'll host events, and he'll have like sell 100 seats in person or whatever, and then he'll have he has the setup in studio for it to be an epic live experience, like online.
Yeah.
So that's also another
And
great
the
idea.
streaming.
Streaming it. That's
Yeah.
another great idea is have the setup where, because you know, some people can do a streaming thing or a live thing, but it just looks like shit.
Yeah.
But if you were able to actually have like the VI, and he was saying like, I forgot who he was quoting, but somebody else was doing this where like you could literally have big name speakers come to this event and speak in front of these 100 people, but also speak to all these tens
Yeah.
of thousands of people live.
Yeah.
And so that wasn't in my head. I actually started looking at Office Space in
When
Miami.
we do get the Media HQ, that's the one I'm modeling.
Yes.
It's his.
Oh, really?
I
Yeah.
literally did a pod with him the day before I went to Hormozi's office. I did a pod with
Nice.
Ryan because I was like, I want to do it. I was like, dude, we need to do a pod. It's been so long. And at the same time, I was like, dude, I just want to see your office.
Yeah.
And because like I'm not gonna get a Hormozi level office.
Yeah, it's and he does a good job at his. I actually like that.
Yeah, I like it too. So a lot of the other stuff was, I mean, kind of for probably the purposes of like content stuff, like pretty boring in the sense of it was like really good leadership stuff. So anytime they write and actually we started implementing this, it's sick, is anytime they have like a new company initiative or like it's a bigger project, they force their executive team to put it on a memo. So a memo is like, it covers why is it important, what is it, what's the strategy, how does it actually work, and what do we do now? And so it forces your team, because you ever have a teammate come on the meeting and they're like, dude, we got to do this. This is an idea. And then they just like haven't even thought it out well. It forces them to put it on paper, because when they put it on paper, number one, it makes them get clear on their thinking. It also makes you see how clear they are on their thinking.
Yeah, they're
and a lot
prepared.
of times when you force them to put it in a memo, they realize it's kind of stupid and they just don't even do it. And then you don't have to talk about it in a meeting.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is as well is, then once it's on a memo, everybody reads and comments on the memo. Then you just get on a meeting to talk about the next steps, and it eliminates 90% of the stuff.
That
So
makes
then I
sense.
kind of implemented a little bit of this in our offsite. And dude, our new offsite structure, we got 90% of the work done in the pre-work. And then we got on, we just clarified like several things. We literally got done in like 6 hours.
Yeah.